Boom. All right, so we'll start. We're on the Play Gwent Twitter here. So this was Alessio's favorite card. You can ask how much of a favorite card this was of his. This is Alessio's absolute favorite card. This is Moon Dust. It has a really cool premium animation. It's spinning through the air there in front of the moon. Purify unit and damage it by 4. So like we were joking when we saw like these bronze cards at first, you know, these bronze cards are, you know, the favorite cards of the pro players, but the truth is this card is actually probably going to see play, because this card is going to deal with shields, and it's going to kill the units that have the shield on it, so it's going to avoid you from having to go 2 for 1 or losing value on those cards, or your opponent getting extra value. I think this card absolutely sees play as a tech for a number of different things. I think that a 4 damage ping at 5 is totally fine, and it's just strong removal. I think it's just going to deal with stuff. I think this card is great. I think this card is just great. It's 5 provisions too. Moving on, we have Garane. This one was, or was Colomon's? I can't remember. Well, I don't think it was Colomon's. So this is 4. This card is really good though. I think this card is quite strong actually. It's a 4 provision point, 4 strength monsters card. Deploy damage a bleeding enemy by the amount of bleeding it has. So this card seems like it just always has upside, and if you're playing vampires, this card, if you're playing the Plumard, which is already another 4 strength, 4 provision vampire that gives bleeding. Let's get the words out of my mouth here. If you're playing those already, then, you know, the thing is your opponent is likely... This isn't the reason why I like this card, and also the Plumard in some ways, but more so this card, is that this card is actually not a terrible draw in round 3. Because that's going to be the round where you're more likely to drop a bleed on a big unit. It's less likely that you're going to be playing this in the, you know, let's see what we're doing here in round 1, because, you know, your opponent may not be playing large units. But on the contrary, your opponent may be trying to play around death blows, so maybe they are playing large units. So when you are able to apply, we're talking about a unit that is so big that it needs to have bleeding on it, and you get a lot of value from this, and the bleed still gets value. So fat chance of that happening, but I still think ceiling-wise, this is pretty respectable for a 4 provision point card. The Cin Envoy. This was Green Knight's reveal. This is another awesome card because it has formation on it. Northern Realms cards with formation on it, I think, are going to be the best. I'll keep it PG. 5 provision point, 3 strength. Cin Envoy, who is a human, I imagine. Formation and order, of course, because you need formation with an order, as formation gives you zeal if you play it on the melee row, and boosts you by 1, you being the unit, boosting you by 1 if you play it on the ranged row. So give 2 charges to an allied unit. So you can drop this at 4 and protect it with that way, or you can just go ahead and drop it and give 2 charges on zeal. For that last reason, I think this card is very strong, because of how we have seen the ways we might be able to protect machines. Let's say you drop a Watchman. Let's say you drop a Cadweni Sergeant. Let's say you're playing Meave. Let's say a Ballista Styx. Boy, it would be great to have this card. But, you know, the reason why that was never threatening before was because the siege support was only good with machines. Well, this is good with pretty much everything. This card makes Dem events so much better. This makes machines much better. And siege support is not... You don't even need to play siege support necessarily. This might be better, although it's more expensive. But the fact that you don't have to play it, you can play it as a 4 and get the 2 charges later. Also, it means that it's going to make your opponent use removal on it. So what is this really worth? 2 charges can be worth up to 6 if you give it to a Trebuchet, and there's a board that supports it. So this card has pretty high potential, and the fact that you can zeal it seems like it's going to be really good. I think this card's going to see play. I think this card's really, really good. Northern Realms has gotten some awesome cards, and I haven't even started. Man, the Sintram Royal Guard got revealed today. Yes, that card. Man, never thought I'd be excited to see something that reminded me of Reaver Hunters. We'll get there, my friends. We'll get there. Finally, this is Turny Joe. This is Molegion's card. This card, I think, is also really good. Not only is it a 4 provision point tactic, which means that Ardal cares about it, and other cards that Nilfgaard got cares about tactics, but it's also decent because it removes a shield and damages something by 3, which I just said you might play Moondust specifically for, but if the threshold is 3 for the things that are getting shielded, then this card absolutely 100% sees play in Nilfgaard. And it's Nilfgaard only, so this means that in a certain meta, Nilfgaard is better against shields than others, which means that in a Northern Realms dominated shield meta, I guess, Nilfgaard will be better. let's say. But they also can give a shield as well. So it's got 2 great modes. Just so safe. This card's so safe and good. And, like, it already has, like, the upside it has seems better than Dimeridium Shackle's upside of having a lock when you don't kill the unit. This thing kills a unit or protects one of your own units. It's like, oh, my engine's stuck? Awesome, I can protect it. Oh, it didn't? Okay, well, at least I can use it to kill one of your things. It's just so good, right? This card's so strong. These cards are so unassuming. All 4 of these cards, all unassuming strong cards. And if anybody laughed at them in the chat, you're crazy. But there's more. There is more. 2 charges don't have max value due to full test pride. Very, very good point, Brazar. Repair the damage they did to Stennis. I mean, I did look at that card and think, Stennis, what have you done to my boy? Stennis the Menace. Yeah, Stennis seems like he was nerfed in advance of a card being too strong, and then they released this card at 5. And maybe they're okay with how strong that is. Stennis is a soldier, though. I don't know. Maybe there's still a relevancy for Stennis. Let's talk about, this is Cam's reveal. This was the Swall Blood Butcher. Another card that is pretty good at the 4 slot. Damage an ally by 2, and then give an enemy unit bleeding for 3 turns. Holy crap, this card's good, right? Gotta stay hydrated, doing a lot of talking. This card's very, very good. So it comes down at 4. Damages an ally unit by 2, which is good because you may have a Protector on board, you might have Joanna on board, you might have Blue Boy Lugos on board, you might have a unit you want to trigger Berserk on board. Man, oh man, you might have a Rot Tosser on the board, like a cow on the board. So, like, you know, there's already a world of possibilities for this card, and it gives an enemy unit bleeding for 3 turns, which means that even if it's boosted back up again, it's going to be damaged again soon. So it's good for Bloodlust. Plus, it's bleeding synergy outside of monsters, and it seems like everything has a little bit of synergy, cross synergy. So maybe Skellige monsters care about bleeding, Nilfgaard and Northern Realms care about shield, scoia'tael and Northern Realms care about vitality, Skellige and Nilfgaard care about whatever. You know, like it seems like there's a little bit of mingling, right? There's a little bit of mingling, so it means like maybe there might be a little bit less full cohesive synergy in every single card, but actually a larger, broader synergy when you're looking at the game as far as like a meta, what counters what, arena, that kind of stuff. So this card is just like kind of what a good card looks like lately at 4, I think, for the faction that cares about it. This is Wanged's reveal. This is Thaw, 5 provision point neutral card. Special. Clear all row effects from your side and boost an ally unit by 4. For every row effect cleared, decrease the boost by 2. And it clears all row effects from your side only. So you can't remove a positive row effect, which Blood Moon appears to be. So this card originally I thought, isn't the Scout just better than this? But the Scout is just 1 row. But the Scout, you get the 4-point body. But it is a body. Maybe you don't want to play bodies. Maybe you want to clear weather. That isn't the Scout. That is better than First Light, which this card is. So I think that that's just filling this role. I personally don't see why this card is great when Scout exists, but I think it just is offering, it gives you options, and that's important for just a card pool. A robust card pool has options, and that's what this card gives you. It's also something maybe I didn't get about it. And yes, the Curse of Corruption. This is the card that Flake and I got to reveal at the very, very beginning of Gwent Open number 8. We basically said, hi, everybody, welcome to Gwent Open 8. Here's a new card.
Now, Dane, listen, we're a couple of Canadian boys. We're generous guys. We're nice guys, right?
That is the stereotype, yes.
So they said, you know what, like maybe we reach into the bag of Leeks.
Oh, yeah, I think we have something we can show you right now.
Right now.
Oh, look at this.
This, my friends, grab your toast because this is my jam, ladies and gentlemen. This is a brand new card called Curse of Corruption. 9 provision, destroy the highest unit on the board. So if you got the top dog in the pound and you want to say goodbye, boom, adios, my friends. This is something that I know we'll see a lot of play in control decks because it's a lot cheaper than Scorch, but it does kind of the same thing.
It's like a Diet Scorch.
It's like the margarine of Scorch.
I can't believe it's not Scorch.
Can't believe it's not Scorch.
It's really good, right? It's a little bit more expensive than Glorious Hunt, but it's going to actually work for you when you play
now,
it.
I think this will going to affect the meta for sure.
It happened immediately. That's why I was so excited to get things started. This is a big card. 9 provision point, gold neutral special card. Curse of Corruption, destroy the highest unit. Well, on the cast, we pretty much covered all the things that this means. Like, it just removes the highest unit on the board. It's better than Scorch because it's cheaper. Worse than Scorch because you can't line up a crazy board. You only take points off your opponent's side of the board. So this card being, like, because of that, I think this card is priced fine. I don't think this card is anything to be scared of. I think this card will see play sometimes. But I think that Leo and Geralt of Rivia are likely, like, those are the other options, right? This is, like, the safest way to get rid of a 7-point unit you need to kill. Other than that, you already have better options in the game that are seeing play. That's why I think that, again, it's just a card that gives you more options in the game. And it's probably going to see play. I think different factions and different decks are going to get better use out of it. Perhaps it's better than Glorious Hunt, obviously, which is 1 point cheaper, but only cares about base strength. And also on a coin, this does coin flip too. So if you have the highest unit, and your opponent has the highest unit, it doesn't favor anything. It doesn't favor how many of them you have on either side of the board or whatever. It's 50-50 shot, yours or theirs. So there is that as well. But I mean, if you're playing this card, you're probably trying to avoid that. I think it's probably a very fine average card, I think. The tags on Scorch, the tags on this card, I don't think there were any, but I can't confirm any of the tags because I haven't seen the final version of anything. So I know the tags weren't, tags were added. We already know that the mystical tag and the nature tag and all that stuff was still a work in progress as early as that recorded video of Jason and Berza. So I think tags, even as far as anything you may have heard or anything that you may have heard from anybody about tags as far as what might be seen by people on the PTR, I don't think any of that's finalized anyway. So we don't know much about. There's still a lot of mystery to what we're seeing, which is awesome. Moving right along, this was the card that Jagras and Panda got to reveal at the beginning of the second quarterfinals game when they first jumped into Gwent Open, and that is the Scepter of Storms or the Spire of Storms? Scepter of Storms. I think it's Spire of Storms in Thronebreaker, the same card art. So this card is cool in a couple of ways, but this is another on-deploy artifact that deploys one of the first basic weathers, Frost, Frog, or Rain. So if you are not interacted with, this is an 8/8, which the weathers launched in Homecoming at anyway, and they didn't see play then. So why is this card better? Well, this card is an artifact on the board, and it is an artifact that can be used once it has been used. So if you're running a Pyrotechnician or if you're running the Combat Engineer, you are getting value from that. Also, because it's an artifact, it is tutorable, which the weathers previously were not tutorable. The best you could hope for is putting in a very overcosted Triss Telekinesis. That card needs love. Triss Telekinesis. Man, oh man, that card is so expensive. So you could kind of tutor the weather out, even though Triss didn't actually pull it out of your deck. So at least with Avalok the Sage, you can get this out of your deck and create weather and play a body. So playing that sort of mock Dagon that I joked about way back with Triss Telekinesis and like saying, oh, it's the closest thing to Dagon, playing a unit and playing weather. Although Roach and Ragnarok is kind of also like that. I think that this is probably, that's like one thing going for it. Like if you just wanted to play Avalok and some artifacts with deploys just so you could have a different thinning package, it's just so expensive though, right? It's just so expensive. And then Caretaker, of course, interacts with artifacts as well, so there's that as well. Another reason why I want to talk about Portal in great detail. So when we see this card and we see cards like Portal and cards like Hengid Sword, which is hard for me to say, we see a lot of potentials for these on-deploy artifacts to see reusing effects or tutoring effects that we didn't really see before. Of course, this card makes Vivian Oriole look very good as well. And all of these cards, Vivian Oriole is just so much better than Dow in any of the situations that you have these cards. So there you go. We'll see. This one was Pronio's card, right? Sandstorm. This is a 6 provision point special card that damages a unit at both ends of an enemy row by 3. So 6 for 6 on a board that supports it. I don't know. I don't like this card too much because I feel like for one more point, the Ericus Venom is just so much better if you just wanted to run a card that does damage to things. Because your opponent has to play into a situation where, like, I guess now it's interesting. This is actually a pretty good answer to Portal, now that I think about it. So your opponent plays Portal and you play Sandstorm. It's going to damage the 2 units at the end of the row, whereas Ericus Venom will not do that. And if your engines are being pulled out at 3, which Nausicaa Sergeant and what are the other engines that Portal could pull that would end up at 3? At 4 that end up at 3. Elven Swordmaster. the Dryad Harmony engine, I think. So, like, this card does counter Portal, and when I first saw this card, I honestly didn't know when I would ever play this card, and now I actually think that maybe if Portal is a big deal card, this card is a big deal answer, just like how if Witchers are a big deal card, the Ericus Venom could be a big deal answer. So, but I mean, it has to pull out the 3 strength engines, but it's still, like, is decent, maybe. I don't know. I think it's better. When I first saw it, I thought this card was real bad. Now, I see a potential. I see potential with this card now. Finally, this is Tailbot's card. So by process of elimination, I could say that the card that I forgot, the one that was Garcane, the player that I'm forgetting, is... can't remember. I still can't remember. It's so obvious, too. I casted all the games. It is Colamon. It was Colamon's card. Okay. This is the Brokilon Sentinels Tailbot's card. 5 provision point, 2 strength card. Unit, Dryad. Damage an enemy unit by 2. Death blow. Summon a copy of this unit from your deck to this row. So it's a damage effect. It's a deploy effect. It's a Dryad. It puts 2 Dryads on the board, and it thins your deck. I mean, in a deck that cares about Dryads, this is a great card. In a deck that cares about a Harmony, wouldn't you want to use one of the other thinning... I mean, the only other one is Dwarves, and you would need another Dwarf as well. But there's also another card that we saw released today, or was it yesterday, that cares about how many Dryads are on the board. So this card is better now than on the day it was revealed. But on the day it was revealed, I think it's pretty good. I mean, a thinning card is always nice to see at 5, right? Really good to see at 5. So that's pretty good. Now, let's keep going, because these are the reveals. These are the big reveals now.